2019 BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Championships get underway at the 2010 Winter Olympic venue, the Whistler Sliding Centre in British Columbia, Canada. Hello everybody, welcome to the first run of 2 weeks of what is bound to be fantastic action. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me is John Morgan. John, this track opened in 2009, Canada ruled supreme in 2010. It is still the fastest ice on the planet.
Well, this is the super speedway, and especially compared to the track we're on last week in Calgary, the athletes got quite a surprise when they came up here Tuesday for their first training runs. Start record, Beat Hefty, Thomas Lamparter from the pre-Olympic test way back in '09. Curve 1, curve 2, you fall out of a 7-story building. Unbelievable how fast, how quickly these sleds start to motor on this track. Curve 4, 5, watch out. There's 4 sleds tipped over there in training this week, and now you're at almost 75 miles an hour. Pierre Luder's Loop, he crashed there early in the testing sessions. Now the big sweeping turns as you get down near Shiver. Links, this is 80 miles an hour, and Shiver, wow, this gets into that 50-50 curve, named by the late Stephen Holcomb. Gold Rush into Thunderbird, near 90 miles an hour, Martin. It's spectacular to watch it in person, spectacular to sit here and do commentary on it, and I think we better put our seatbelts on.
Yeah, they have been breaking all kind of speed records during the week of training. The first day of training here also a large number of crashes. The ice was like glass. Air temperatures dropped already 2 degrees from when we were up at the top of the track about an hour ago. Ice temperature -3, that's the warmest and softest it's been all week. You can see the teams making final preparations. 31 sleds from 19 different nations, among whom 8 of the drivers have never competed in a World Championships before. And they are contesting over 4 heats, the 2-man World Championship for the fabulous Max Huben Trophy. Now, since 2012, the World's in Lake Placid, Francesco Friedrich of Germany has been unbeaten in major competitions. 4 straight World Championships, plus the Olympic gold medal. And he is, without doubt, the hot favourite. But in these conditions, on this ice, it is not a one-horse race. Kiebermanis, Krips, Walter, Lochner, the other Germans. Yun Jong-won won here in 2-man 3 seasons ago now. And there are a lot of other potential winners in the field. And then there's the other dark horses, the other stories. Dominik Dvorak, Matthias Luthi, Markus Treichel, Mikkel Vogt of Switzerland. Chris Spring, who we've barely seen all year, but has spent all his time in Canada. He's won twice in 3 seasons.
On this track, so.
And there are an awful lot of potential upsets here. Sleds that could be well up in the top 10. What you need here is 4 half-decent, consistent runs. The BMW IBSF Bobsleigh World Championships kicks off with a famous name, son of a famous driver, Timo Röner of Switzerland, the 21-year-old, with brakeman Adrian Fessler, starting their first ever senior World Championships.
Pretty talkative about his father's accomplishments, what he wants to do. He's young, first time he's been over here, and he gets the pleasure of drawing number 1 and coming down this super speedway.
Well, he's got the fastest ice to deal with in this heat, you would think. It'll probably get colder and faster later.
Watch the flop here. Look at this, he's late. You see that? People have been tipping over there. The exit of 4-5. That combination has had a lot of people thinking. Way too much.
7, little late exit down into 8.
Not bad though. Now here comes the part of the track. Couple waves here, up, now down. Get out of here, the 11 to 12. Boy, that's very forgiving today.
Yep.
Huge speeds.
A lot of crashes in training, 4 to 5 and out of 50-50. Big hit out of the final corner, 51.94. We even actually had a roll out of the final corner in women's training the other day. Timo Röner gets it down, 51.94.
63 hundredths from the track record. I think it's attainable here this evening.
Wow. And if not possibly tomorrow, yeah, 6 tenths away. He's never been here before. Look at the exit here.
Ooh, look at the airborne. That's what we talk about up there, that 4-5 combination. And this is down here a little late out of 7. That's Luder's loop. Maybe that wasn't, that was 11. He likes it.
Next up is another World Championship rookie recovering from summertime hip surgery. Hunter Church of the USA, just 22 years old. 30-year-old Chris Kinney, his brakeman.
He's subbing in for Justin Olson, who crashed at curve 4-5. Hope Justin heals up well. What a moment for Hunter Church, Katie'ville, New York. He just got to notice he missed the first day of training. He came out, this is Olson's sled. He's only got 4 trips in this, 3 trips in this sled.
3 trips, yeah.
Great start.
489. Well, he was saying, oh, little skid from 1 to 2. He was saying after training, yeah, hip surgery, he's still feeling about 50% strength in his leg.
Well, those 3 taps did not help. But again, he's been in 4 different sleds in 2 weeks. That's late. And he's only had 3 trips on this. Very surprised he didn't take the 4th and final practice trip available to him yesterday.
We was talking to him after the 3rd trip, and he said, I just want to go again. I love this
the coaches
track.
wouldn't let him go again. I didn't understand that. Oh, he's got the lead, but 50-50, watch out.
Oh, a little late and a big flop, but
he's never been down the track at that speed, and that's what record speed will do.
Wow, huge height in Thunderbird and across the line.
Still the leader.
51.85, well, that was a wild ride. And John, that is the nature of this track.
That is what you're going to be seeing for the next couple of weeks. The smoothest rides are not the fastest rides. Sometimes the roughest rides.
That's 2 TRs. Good job, baby.
Way to go, Hunter.
Oh, there's...
Where do you want to start? I mean, here, watch this tap. When he gets taps here, he pushes himself in the middle of the curve. The sled totally airborne up near the lip. Now, this is in the section of the track that is so unforgiving.
Well, that was drive to survive, wasn't it?
Look at the rudder tips.
Look how hard he's steering to get it down.
He's not really steering there. He didn't steer, he let the sled go.
Hauled it off the wall and then completely steered the other way so he didn't roll it off the corner. All right.
Okay, so that's a second sled down.
29 to go. Now then, Yoonjin Suk of Korea with 31-year-old brakeman Ki-kun Jang behind him. Jang's also started driving this season.
Best finish of the year was 15th at Lake Placid. Then disappointingly last week in Calgary, he missed the cut, but he had a horrific first run.
Second Worlds for him. He was in 32nd place in the last World Championships in Koenigsegg.
Good lines. The Koreans probably have been down this track more than their home track in South Korea. Pyeongchang.
Started as a brakeman for Yoon Jong-won, who'll come up next, and started driving while still a brakeman as well.
600. Watch
nice.
this. Oh, the double loop. Does he tap? Yeah, in the middle. Watch out. Oh, he steers nice there. 600s to 600s.
Tiny margins.
He's got really good lines down here. That's why he's increasing the speed.
Yep. He hits at the bottom of the track as well. 1800s up.
91.8 miles an hour. Wow. 92 miles an hour.
92.5, yeah.
That was Hunter's speed.
Yeah.
Wow. Just think of the next time you're going 90 miles an hour in your car, and then realize that you're only 6 inches, maybe a foot off the ice with these sleds with no suspension, no shock system. Crossover. Boy, back end skid there. Runner tips. Really clean there.
Nice.
Here's where the trouble is. He gets on there perfectly in the take on a 50-50. Watch the runner tips here. Very quiet steering. That's why he accelerated away in the bottom part of the track at the best speed. Picked up 600s on Hunter Church down there. Okay, now
So,
put your seatbelt on.
Now we get into the top 10 in the world. This is Francesco Friedrich, our world and Olympic champion in 2-man and 4-man. He won the 2-man race here in 2016. 28 years old, 4 straight 4-man world championships, plus 2 junior worlds. And his #1 brakeman, the giant that is Torsten Margis behind him. And Torsten is so hyped up for this.
believe they're going to get near 470, but I bet you they get into the mid-70s. 74! Oh, wow.
400s of the start record of Bert Hefty and Thomas Lamparter from the pre-Olympic test.
Boy, he's had some real problems up in curve 2 and 3, banged out of both walls.
Well, he destroyed the right-hand rear bunk of the sled in training yesterday with a huge hit out of the final corner.
German mechanics were working all night on it. Sled is fine. 4,500's up, wrong side of that curve. On the exit, on the entrance.
9-10, it's a two-corner combination. Links now, then big heights.
Watch out here. Ooh, big steering there.
Gets through 50-50 and down the Gold Rush Trail. Francesco Friedrich, 6/10 up. This is track record pace. 51.31 is the record. It's 3/10 of a second, nearly faster. That is unbelievable. The first run of 4, the warmest ice they've had to play with. Oh my word.
That was not a clean run either. What a statement.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Now at the start, Friedrich was as ever cool, calm and collected.
Yeah, but all the mistakes he made up top too. Here, look at the old Robin Hood there. This is a, look how high he climbs. This is the 50-50.
Tiny steers. He allows the sled to
right here. Look at the runners here.
Down.
Look at that. Look at that.
Perfect.
He did not steer there.
No.
Perfect entrance, exit. That's why he broke the track record, bottom part of the track. And the speed, Martin, 92.9 miles an hour in a two-man bobsled.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, that has really put the cat among the pigeons. Whatever you thought you had coming in, you're going to have to recalibrate very quickly. Oskars Kiebermanist up next. 25-year-old from Latvia, 26-year-old brakeman Mārtiņš Miknis.
Well, catch me if you can. I think Friedrich just did.
4th place in the last World Championships in Koenigsegg, just behind the podium. And that's his best ever World Championship result.
Should be in the 70s also. This is a very formidable start team. 79.
That is
now
a great
watch this.
start.
Now watch the lines here. Much better than what Friedrich had.
Saw him lean on the sled to straighten it out.
Not bad there. A little flop. 1000s back. That's relative to the 500s he was down at the start.
Kiebermanist should have a really good chance of the medals here.
Second at World Cup points, Martin.
Has not been on the top step of the podium.
This is a very clean ride, but the clean rides aren't the fastest rides.
1600s back.
Boy, this is just like...
It's going to be a quarter of a second behind Friedrich and more at the bottom.
He hasn't touched a thing.
All right, track record was 51.31. Is he inside it as well?
Long uphill,
he is.
22. Great run.
Inside the old track record by 900s, and he's nearly 0.2 of a second behind Francesco Friedrich.
If we put those two sleds side by side, coming down the run, he hardly touched anything. Friedrich hit 6-7 walls, especially up top. I think that goes to what I say is the smoothest rides aren't the fastest.
No, it's not the man who steers the most, John, is it?
Well, here, this is down in the shiver. Gets on the take-on perfect. Does not have to really steer hard there in 11. Crossover to 12's perfect. Watch the runner tips. How much steer? Ooh, there's quite a bit of steering there. On the take-on to the curve, he got on very quietly, but seemed to steer too much. Then here in the finish, you tap there going uphill. There's another 100 meters before that clock ends. Lost a little time there in the finish.
Next up for Canada, as Francesco Friedrich, the two-man Olympic champion, leads, is our two-man Olympic champion, because Friedrich and Justin Cripps of Canada tied to the 100th of a second over 4 heats in Pyeongchang. Now with Cam Stones as his brakeman, 4.80, that's in the ballpark.
With the Ontario Stones, you don't know where Cripps comes from. He's got 3 passports, Summerlin, BC. 1200's back. Cripps track crashed the first time in training.
Yeah.
Which, you know, he just said it was driver error coming from Calgary, where you don't steer and your speeds are 10, 15 miles an hour slower.
He was the 5th sled down in training. He'd already had a 4-runner crash, and Dominic Dvorak, who was 5th in World Cup standings. But when Justin Cripps crashed, The
caught
dressing
everybody's
room
attention.
went silent.
Got such respect, and they love this track.
Look
He's
how
coming
close
back.
he is! Cripps, is he
got it,
believing
track
the
record.
run? Oh my goodness! Come on,
Wow.
says Graham Richardson.
Wait a
Now, our
His
Olympic
speed,
champion.
listen to this, his speed, 94.6 miles an hour.
What's that in Canadian? That's 152.3.
Whoa, game
What
on.
is the speed record here?
I think that's a speed record too. I mean, it has to be with the track record. Oh, on the bottom part of the track, Cripps here, look at that, how airborne the back end of the sled was up top.
Yep, that's 4.5.
This is where,
That's a great
this is
exit.
where
Look
he
at that.
put on the afterburners and showed he knows a little bit about the track.
Everybody.
Whoa, wow. Our Olympic champions, 700ths of a second apart. Now then, what can the other German sliders produce? This is Nico Walter.
Whoa.
Now Nico, best two-man result here, 6th position. He's pushing with his brakeman Paul Krentz, Pavel Kaminski. He's got a torn hamstring still, or recovering from it, Walter. This is about survival.
Has not medaled in two-man bobsledding this year. And he's been 4th 3 times.
Yep, won the season opener, won a couple of races in two-man last season. 482, that's a decent start as well.
But everybody I talk to says this is the best driver on tour. Doesn't get the starts. But we just saw what Cripps did with the 3rd best start.
Yep.
Smoked him.
2004 Junior World Champion in two-man bob. Won 2 races last year.
He's only 400s back with the deficiency, only 1000s back. Remember, this is what Cripps was 1200s back on this point right here.
4th fastest start, 4th place on the splits, 1200s back.
This is where Cripps was.
If he can tidy it up,
definitely inside the old track record.
he is absolutely flying. Look at the speed at the line. How far back? 2/10. A little bit disappointed, but all of his focus, John, is next week on the 4-man worlds.
800s behind his teammate Friedrich.
There you go. There's his brakeman Paul Krentz. We were chatting to them after the opening ceremony yesterday in the centre of Whistler.
Look at him, look at the time.
Yeah, Krentz was so amped up for this.
Well, this is the part of the track where you don't want to tap going into this curve here. Tap, that pushes you over, so you, well, it wasn't too bad. You still got on the takeout in the middle.
Yep.
Crossover. Lost the steering on the runners here.
Look how early he lets the sled go. Tiny steer, let it go.
Perfect example of don't steer. But when you're doing 92 miles an hour, it's hard not to think of steering.
Hands of a surgeon. Next up, Hansi Lochner, our 4-man world champion. Johannes was bronze medalist in the 2-man with Joshua Bloom 2 years ago. He has 27-year-old Christopher Weber behind him today.
Look at the way Hansi bends over that push bar. I never liked that.
478, look at the speed of the start. 2nd fastest getaway.
His father and mother are here. Saw them last night at the opening ceremonies.
Whole family were here. 500ths of a second over the Olympic and world champion.
Both of them.
Yeah. Still in the lead. Now he drops into the red at corner 7.
Right there.
Oh, look at that line!
Is that too much control?
Here we go.
Double loop.
Let's see what he's got.
Airborne. Steers till he gets on there right where he wants.
2/10 back. Needs huge speed at the bottom.
This is looking like a 5th
25,
spot.
3500s back.
Hard hit there.
Yeah.
4600s back.
Okay. Well,
Wow.
we talked about the need at the beginning of the show, John, for consistency. One loose run, you can survive. That's got to be it. He can't
Don't
have
know if that was a loose run.
can't have a slower run than that.
The roughest ride down so far is Friedrich.
Yeah.
And he was 2nd fastest to Cripps. Cripps' home track advantage helped him. Look at the back end there.
Late steer off there, that really didn't help.
4-5. And then here,
Again,
wow.
one little steer, lets it fly.
90 plus. And then hitting here and going 60 more yards uphill, that's hard to hit there.
The stuff they show us in the slow-mo that the naked eye can't see, he knows it. He knows those errors. Yoon Jong-won of Korea, 33-year-old. His best two-man World Championship result was in 5th place in Winterberg 2015. And he's got his Olympic brakeman back with him. He raced last week in Calgary, John, for the first time since the 4-man silver of Pyeongchang.
Yeah, this is his only Olympic medalist that he's got left. The other two guys, one's on another sled, the other retired. Well, he's been doing good in training all week.
And he won the race here in the two-man in 2016. Remember, that was just after their coach Malcolm Lloyd passed away. That was a hugely emotional day for him and the Korean team.
And all of us.
Yeah.
Look at this, hadn't touched the wall. Only 300s back. He keeps this within 600-700 of the next block. He's got a chance for the top 3.
Well, of all tracks, this is the one where all the Koreans learned to drive.
Well, they class it here. Only 5 back.
Oh, my goodness, little
double hit,
skid.
speed, a little bit off. That double hit hurt.
That might leave him still in the top 3.
Boy, that 50-50 curve caused so much problems in training, and the career here in Whistler, it's pretty tame today.
And at the line, where is he? 4th or 5th at the line, 5th position. 51-31 for Yoon Jong-won of Korea. There's Rico Peter, his coach.
Reckless driver from Switzerland, now coaching Korea.
So he's...
That mistake up in 7, exit of 7 on that little chicane, double hit. You can hit once, but he hit twice. Right here, bang, and then watch, bang again. Now look at the, you know how much turning you have to do?
Sends it in
right
sideways, yeah, backs it in.
Backs it in. So that was his major mistake. Ooh, airborne there.
Wow.
Some of these pictures, look how high he is. He's up where no one else has been.
Yeah.
And
that's
he's low here. Now watch the rudder tips. You can see the rudder tips. He had to steer pretty hard because he came in the middle of the curve. You steer like that.
Came in late, went out late. Yoon Jong-won of Korea in 5th. We've had 9 sleds down. Now here is one of the question marks. Dominic Dvorak. How well is he going to go on a track that he barely knows? He's had 3 top 6 finishes in two-man alone this season.
He was the 2nd man down in training. He crashed. And then Cripps was the 5th man down in training. He crashed. And Martin, we were in the locker room looking at the trepidation on all the athletes' faces. Yes, they were concerned, but they all still continue to say, I love this track. I love the speed.
Well, Dvorak does love speed. 10,900 meter man. He's one of the fastest on the front handles. How far back? 800s behind the leader.
4th World Cup points. He's had a breakout season for the Czech Republic. You have to go back to the 30s, the last time the Czechoslovakia won a medal in the World Championships.
Great looking line, but he's doing a little too much. Maybe got a little too much control.
Well, you know, it doesn't have a lot of experience on this track. This is a guy you want to keep track of the next couple of years.
Just saw his teammate Anna Stetova at the side of the track halfway down. 51-56.
A little behind Locker, yeah. You know, that doesn't surprise me right there, Martin.
Listen, he finishes top 10. I think he'll be doing very well here. His best World Cup result, 18th last time out in Königsegg.
Quite an athlete right there.
Yeah.
Well, to me, the track looks pretty tame, 50-50. All the doubts that we had about it, look at the rudder tips there. He had to steer hard in the take-on.
Yep.
Take-on's where you get on. The outlet, which is like an outlet right here in the finish, you come off. Little tap there, not bad.
Yes. Quick step. And this off.
10 down, 21 to go. First of 4 heats of the two-man bobsleigh World Championships in Whistler. Olympic champions at the top of the field. We've had one of our potential dark horses, Dominic Dvorak of the Czech Republic. Here's another, Poland's Mateusz Luty. Martin Haven and John Morgan trackside in Whistler watching the two-man World Championships get underway.
Luty's had a pretty good year, top 10. Breakout, didn't go 4-man last week. Oh, look at that, a lot of pressure on that exit 1. You can't do that. And didn't do 4-man last week, I was surprised. Seems like more of a 4-man guy, but he's had a pretty good year. 9 World Cup points in the 2-man, 10th last week in Calgary.
Well, like Dvorak, what a couple of seasons he's had. Last World Championships, Dvorak was 18th, Lācis was 20th. We firmly expect them to be challenging for a top 10 this time round.
And who's his coach? Lācis, the Latvian, who won the pre-Olympic test here in four-man bobsledding in 2009.
He's coming, 8th fastest at the start. He's up to 7th on the splits. This could be a top 6 run. Look at the speed down at the bottom, 6 or 7 hits, and up the hill to the line, 8.
62, that's about right.
200s behind Dominik Dvorak in the Czech Republic.
800s behind the start. Still, top 10 is Hansi Lochner's father right there. Your Honor. Yeah, the first curve, watch the pressure. First curve, you're falling out of 7 stories here. Look at this back end come up. He steered too hard, got in there late. Surprised he didn't hit the wall, but that much pressure too early on the track coming down to have that type of mistake. And curve 1, curve 2, I remember the Olympics. That's where Steve Holcomb won his Olympic gold medal. Curve 1, 2, and 3. Good lines, 50-50s so far.
Yeah.
100, nothing.
Yeah. 0 for 11.
0 for 11.
Yeah, well, let's not start all that. Here we go with Canada's second arrow out of the quiver. This is Nick Polagnato, 31 years old, 31-year-old brakeman. Ben Coakwell, both of them former football players.
Polagnato from Hamilton. Coakwell from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And boy, he looks like he's from Moose Jaw.
Doesn't he? 4.80, big start from the two Canucks. And Polagnato was 5th in the two-man worlds 2 years ago.
He had a breakout year that year. In fact, he won a medal in one of those races, and there was disqualified.
0.03 of a second off the lead, ahead of Friedrich at this stage.
So this is a very capable driver on his home track.
Wow. 1300s back, little nudge into 9 and 10.
Decent start time.
Through Shiver and dropping like a stone down the mountain.
Oh yeah, oh, we got the late there. Oh, he had to steer hard in the 50-50, but he through. Down speed.
Down through the Gold Rush Trail, into Thunderbird at the line, top 6, top 5, 7. All right, 51.46. How far is he behind Lochner? 400s of a second. And third is a third, 0.3 of a second away. So he's got some catching up to do. A really strong start from these two, and some good lines.
Yeah, home track advantage. A little rough exit there, 4-5, but everybody's got a problem there. Then here it's, how do you get through there without having to steer? Now you saw that front end of the sled, the back end of the sled came up. That was too much friction.
Yep. You don't want to go in sideways, but at least he didn't back it in.
He didn't do too much steering in the 50-50.
Yeah, he had that nailed, didn't he? So there's Nick Polagnato, currently lying in 7th place. Next up, Russia's Maxim Andrinov, 30 years old, with 27-year-old giant Ilya Malik behind him in the sled. Andrinov, his 3rd time in the World Championships in two-man. Last time out, he was 23rd and didn't make the final heat.
Russians have always done pretty well on this track. Last couple times out, Kazanov has won a bronze medal.
Well, Malik, the brakeman, started in the two-man in Innsbruck with Kazanov. That's his only previous World Cup race, a World Championship race.
Yeah, 12th guy, 12th best start, so he's at a serious disadvantage that you don't, ooh, watch out, going the back end of that sled was really airborne there. 4 to 5 seems such like a mellow curve. Boy, the people are losing a lot of time in there. Andrianov's had a pretty good year too. Watch out. 50-50. Of course, last year they renamed it the Holcomb curve. Honored Steve Holcomb, the late Steve Holcomb, who they gave. Holcomb gave the curve its name in the pre-Olympic test in 2009.
Tied to the 100 with Nick Polagnato of Canada for 7th place. That's a really good opening run from Andrinov.
Considering he's 1,200s behind at the start. Wow. And he comes into 7th. So that's some driving. But the Russian sleds have always done well on this track in both the 2-man and 4-man.
That's another Valna sled, and they're always very good at high speed.
Tap here into Thunderbird,
Lots
where
of
the
height.
speeds 90+ miles an hour to 2-man bobsled. You would have told me that 12, 14 years ago. No way.
Yeah. 13 sleds down in our World Championships. First of 4 heats in Whistler. Markus Treichel and Markus Gluck now for Austria. Third Worlds for Treichel. He raced in Innsbruck and in Königssee. 29th last time out.
Track is clear for Treichel.
Double silver medalist in the Junior Worlds just a couple of weeks ago, these guys. Markus Gluck behind, by the way, 105 kilos, a former power lifter. Just look at the size of it. What's that, nearly 250 pounds?
489.
That is a good strong
Watch the
start.
exit. Pretty quiet. Drop out of the 7-story building right here into where the luge start is. Now he's only 1,700 back, which the Russian was 2,000 back at this point. The Russian did pretty well from here on down the track. Other than his start time, the Russian better near the medals.
Oh, just avoids the tap on the wall. Markus Treichel dropped it in there into the top 10. It's a nice looking run. First of 2 Austrian sleds. He's now in 8th place on the splints, John.
Let me fly. Pretty good run. Remember, this is not really familiar with this place. 149 kilometers.
Those couple of taps dropped him down to 10th place. Franz Josef Hoffmann on the left-hand side, the coach will be happy with that. Midway through, up to 8th spot on the splits.
10th best start, 8th best finish.
But lining the walls here, the entire Lochner family, pretty much. Father, his best friend, sponsors, mum.
Well, the start, get in, get down, settle before that first curve, and take advantage of falling out of a 7-story building. Down here, 7 in the chicane. He got through there, but on the wrong side. Look how high he had to climb, Martin, into the middle of the curve because he got into the take-on on the wrong side. When you have to get in there, you have to take too much pressure to get to the top and out of a curve.
Aufgehen, Männer, kommt er!
15th of our 31 sleds in the first heat of the 2-man World Championships here in Whistler. 21-year-old Swiss Michael Vogt, ending only his 2nd season of driving. First World Championships for him. Recruited by Ivo Ruck, the 4-man world champion in St. Moritz, just 2 years ago to come and do bobsleigh tryouts.
He might be the 2nd youngest in the field. I think our Romanian athlete coming up is the youngest.
It's 486, that's a good start as well, with a tap and a slide.
Slide. It's just, it's like throwing out a parachute right there.
Until Lake Placid, he'd never raced outside Europe, so this is all very new to him.
Well, he's got a coach, Wolfgang Stampfer, who was a speed merchant himself, and then that guy Christoph Langen, who won 5 world championships, not to mention a couple of Olympic gold medals.
9th fastest start, but drifting out to 14th place, Michael Vogt.
Back.
Bringing it back up to 13th on the splits. This is now clawing up behind Matej Luti, and Markus Treichel ducks to the line. There's the first sled that didn't hit 9th place.
With the speed.
Come on, let's have a yard bowl, Christoph, at least. 51.53. That was a really good exit from the final corner.
The first curve. Look what he did out of the first curve.
Yep.
Take that away. That's 20/100s. 20/100s better. He's down in the top 5.
Yep.
That is such a no-no what he got away with there. It's amazing he's in the top 10. Tells you how good of a piece of equipment he's on. That's Rico Peters sleds.
And how good his
Here it
hands
is.
are, yeah.
You want to see how not to do it. This is the worst sled of the 16 that have come down.
Well, he won't make that mistake again. He probably won't make that mistake again. But look at this.
The rest of this clean out of the finish curve. Look at him duck his helmet, or his head helmet underneath the cowling. Hey, great speed at the bottom. 21 years old.
Michael Vogt, there he is, 9th place after the first of 4 heats. Final Canadian sled. Spring is here. It may be coming a little early, His teammate leads the race, but Chris Spring has big history. He's won 2 of the last 3 World Cup two-man races on this track.
Got that Neville right on the back from Edmonton. His last 2 weekends of sliding. What service he's provided the Canadian team over the last decade.
Yeah, made his first ever trip down the mountain here 13 years ago.
10th best start, but the Springer, as you said, he's done very well on this track the last couple World Cups.
This is Spring's 7th World Championships. His first for Australia was Lake Placid 2009.
We knew he had the love then.
2100s back. He's come off the 10th best start. He was up to 8th before he rattled into corner 9.
Speed's excellent.
Needs a top 6 run here. Still in 8th.
He's closing though.
He was so clean in training, John. You couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
6th position at the splits. Come
Top
on.
5.
Springer across the line. Top 6. 6 it is.
Don't take that. 10th best start time.
So he's in 6th. Poloniato is in 8th. And Justin Cripps leads for Canada. There is the 38-year-old beast that is Neville Wright. Look, they don't make sleds his size. He's wearing a sled that's at least 3 shoe sizes too small for him.
They pulled him back out of retirement. This is up the chicane into the 10 combination, 9-10. Watch Neville Wright come up here. We're telling the finish line, 100 more meters. Comes up before the finish line. Yep. Now, is that worth anything?
Yeah, it's worth a few hundreds.
At that speed, 90-mile-an-hour speed, that's worth 100. 200s, maybe 3.
Neville Wright, a 3-time Olympian. This is his 5th World Championships. Brad Hall of Great Britain with 22-year-old brakeman Nick Gleeson from 3 Para. 3rd Worlds for Brad. Best is 17th in Innsbruck in the 2-man in 2016. First World Championships for Nick Gleeson. Didn't start until December 16. Now these 2 have had a lot of recent track time here, John, and they were tearing up the ice in training. 478!
Great start, but these are 2 very formidable athletes. Of course, the brakeman's a paratrooper.
First day of training when everybody was nervous and jogging off in 5:05s and 5:10s, these guys went off 4:87. Behind the leader already.
Brad suffered a major crash up here 3 years ago. Tore apart his hand, he's late there.
700 back!
That slowed him for a couple years, that injury he had up here. Had surgery on that hand.
Last 2-man world champions for Great Britain were Nash and Dixon in 1965. 2400s back and across the line, top 6, 5th place.
That's great. Listen, their teammate Bruce Tasker. Bruce, hope you're watching. Bruce Tasker finished 4th in Innsbruck in 2015.
Yep.
We thought he was the next British athlete to medal, but his teammate right here is coming on.
Well, Bruce may or may not be retired. We're not entirely sure because he's not entirely sure, but that's a great opening run from Brad Hall.
This wasn't perfect, though, at the top of the track. Watch here, airborne, big time air there on the take out of 5. And here he's a little late, too, flops it. You saw when you see the articulation split like that, here, runner tips, pretty quiet. He made some time on the bottom.
He needs 3 more runs like that. He's 800ths out of the medals. Next up, Ralf Berchins of Latvia. Berchins making his first ever appearance in the World Championships. First time here, John, crashed the first 2 trips on day 1 of training. The 3rd trip on day 2, he and his brakeman came whooping and hollering up to the finish because they'd made it.
Martin, they weren't the only athletes doing that all week.
No, they were not.
Including Alicia Riesling. We'll see her tomorrow. I thought, ooh, get out of the drive line, Jim. I thought she won the Olympic gold medal when she got on the sled because she had crashed 3 previous trips.
Little rattle, 1 to 2.
Late
Ooh,
there.
late 3 to 4.
Boy, this is not where you want to be. Late in the top part of the track where you want the sled to accelerate and looks like he's got it under control.
21 years old, only in his 3rd season of driving, never been to North America, never seen the track before.
Came from the sport of luge.
3 junior world championships, but this is his first at the senior level.
It's unbelievable to watch these speeds.
Yeah. Don't forget, 6 training runs, 2 of them, they ended on his helmet. So he's only had 4 successful trips down the track. That's his 5th, 51.92.
92.3 miles an hour.
Still not holding back, I think.
Martin, in the old days of sliding, my father, my days, it was a man against the mountain thing in Lake Placid, and that's what this track reminds me of.
Yep.
People get down to the bottom and go, wow, I made it down. Oh, by the way, what's my time? That was what it used to be, and and you know, athletes are loving the speed the track presents. Stakes up there in 1, here's in 2 to 3. Can't do that. That's the exit, or that's the entrance for the loose track there. And then here a little late here too, but probably the fastest he's ever been down the track.
Yep.
You can see why that 4.5 causes so many problems.
Rough Etchins then for Latvia. 19th of our 31 sleds, the USA's Cody Basque, the 24-year-old with 22-year-old former lacrosse player Josh Williamson behind him.
Florida guy behind him.
First season in the sleds for Josh.
Cody Basque, upstate New York guy like. Hunter Church, the other guy, Jeff Gabon, coming up. He's from Milton, Vermont. 3 real young drivers in the front seat. I don't think I've ever seen the U.S. in my time have this age group in the front seat of bobsleds.
Just 24, Cody. Only 1 previous 2-man world championships. That was in Winterberg in Germany in 2015. He was 24. He should be a good 14 places higher than that. Where is he now? 16th on the splits.
Thought he'd be better than this.
Starting the same time at an 89 as Berchins of Latvia. Now he's coming back up to 14th place.
There's been a few injuries most of the year.
Better at the bottom of the track. Got to keep it off the wall. Pretty clean. 13th at the line.
13th best start, 13th best downtime.
Streimer. And he is tied with Marcus Treichel.
51, 57, 13.
Now we start talking
top 10, 400s.
In the second run, they're going to go 20th place to 1, 21 to the end. Tomorrow they'll go in the placing.
Yep, first to last.
And then in the 3rd run, it'll be 20 to 1. 4th run, 20 to 1.
Yep. Well, he should be in the fringes of the top 10. He is just a few hundreds out.
Tips, you can see their little steer in there.
Nice clean exit for Cody Basque. 19 sleds down. 20th of our sleds, opening round of the Bobsleigh World Championships for 2-man. Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands with 26-year-old brakeman Dennis Venker behind him. 4th World Championships for Ivo. His first was in Lake Placid back in 2012.
So if he gets anywhere high 80s here,
if he gets anywhere close to what he was doing in training,
91,
he could be a medal contender. He was very quick in training.
But he was quick in training with similar starts to what everybody else, the Germans, had. Now he's almost 2/10 back at the start. But he could get himself a top 10 if he keeps those same drive lines.
Yep.
He tipped over there 4 to 5 earlier in the week. He wasn't the only victim, 4 to 5. Alana Myers, Justin Olsen. I think the Latvians went over there.
Yep, a little rattle down the wall. 18th at the start. He's now dropped down to 19th place.
Now the start time. He's coming back now a little bit.
He's good at the bottom, a little late off 15 into Thunderbird. The final corner, clatters the wall. And 17th at the line.
Delahunty will not be happy with that. Well, it's not a 2-heat race. It's 4 heats.
Yep. 491. Joost, the other 2 brakemen at the top and the bottom.
You can tell, not very happy.
Yep. Been a lot better in training.
Look at the back end of the sled there, curve 1. He had problems going into curve 1. He was checking the runners. And here, then the chicane, he taps a couple times. gets on where he wants to go, but
it's all that
too much
rattling down
pressure.
the wall. Just takes a bit of speed out. 20 sleds down, 11 still to come in the first of 4 heats of the two-man bobsleigh World Championships here in Whistler in Canada. Martin Hayden and John Morgan watching another first-timer in the World Championships, Alexander Bradikin of Russia, fellow first-timer Roman Koshelev, where he started 3 seasons ago.
Another couple of Russian rookies.
Well, Bradikin's done 3 junior world championships. This is his first time at the top level, his first season in World Cup racing.
Start, let's see him get in the sled. See how quiet they exit the start grooves. Very nice. I'll watch the curve one. A little bit of a skid. 14th best speed at the 120 mark. And he's got the 18th best start. So that was a pretty good entry and exit of curve one. Ooh, watch out! He got in there too late. Martin, when you're coming down this track, you're thinking of way down below where the speeds are extreme. You don't think too much of that curve 4 and 5, which is got a lot of problems up there all week. Watch out here.
Well, the signature thing about the track is the challenge of 50-50 and speed at the bottom, but you're absolutely right, John. You give away time at the top, it's hard to find it down the bottom. 21st for Alexander Bradikin. Again,
he will not make the 20-1. He'll be right now the first sled down after 20-1. That means he's got a really suspect ice condition track to work with.
491, same start as Ivo de Bruin. He came down just in front of him.
Yeah, but he's new. You know, I don't know how many trips he's got on the track.
He's never raced outside of Europe up until now.
Not too bad, but that really late. You know, I keep saying that, but he came out of there pretty good.
Well, our friend and Canadian colleague Helen Upton pointing out exactly what you were saying, is that time lost at the top is really a big problem. Justin Cripps of Canada, the leader in the first heat of our two-man bobsleigh World Championships. Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco, youth bronze medalist in 2012, his 3rd World Championships. He's finished 10th last time out. He's done 2 Youth Olympic Games and 1 Senior Olympics as well. Still just 25 years old.
Boris Van in the back, he has lost 10 kilos. That's about 22 pounds. He was a monster last year. He's still a monster, but the different look and character with the loss of weight. He says it'll improve. He says it wanted to do that to improve his quickness at the start.
Yep. 486 getaway, top 10 start. Rudy Rinaldi in 11th place on the split times now. He was the shock leader at the end of the first heat in the two-man race in Lake Placid just 2 weeks ago.
2015 BTC sled. Dr. Bruno Mangione, his coach, likes this style. Of course, probably got some of Bruno's runners on it.
Hovering around 9th, 10th at the moment. Really good-looking run from Rinaldi. This is what he's been doing all season at the line. Where is he? 9th
Listen,
place.
considering Bruno on the left.
It's a three-way tie for, I knew there was a tie for 9th. Polignato, Rinaldi and Amginov, a three-way tie for 9th.
Wow, they're 400ths out of 8. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's a little log jam. But Mangione was the 99 world champion in 4-man, Olympic medalist in 98, 4-man, 2-man bronze medalist. He likes this sled. He says it's perfect for Rinaldi. And Rinaldi's had a great season.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be these lines, and he's so confident. If you remember watching our coverage in Lake Placid 2 weeks ago, he was the leader in 4-man into the second run. Last man down, and he crashed. Here, you can see how quiet he is on that exit, 90+ miles an hour. He's got bad ice to work with, Martin. Yep. He's got a chance to move up. Again, he's tied, 3-way tie for 9th.
So the 3rd of our American sleds, yet another of our World Cup rookies, World Championship rookies as well. Jeff Gabois, 24 years old. Raced here a couple of times before, though.
That's the veteran Adrian Adams from Reidsville, North Carolina in the back. He's been around for 6 years.
It's his birthday on Wednesday, Adrian. He turns 33. Can't get in the sled there. He's in.
Watch out here. Not a bad tap and mistake, but Hit once, came straight. Now, this is a BTC sled too, the only American, I'd say the first American not to drive a BMW or a Bodine sled in the World Championships, I bet you, since '96.
Previous World Championship entries with Stephen Holcomb, with Cunningham, and with Kobayashi for Adrian Adams.
Boy, was he close there.
Wow. Kubwa got safety down all the training trips. This is not the time to start inverting the sled,
21st.
especially since he owns it himself.
7800s, ducks his head at the end. Boy, I don't know if that was worth it.
20th. It was worth it.
Yeah, by 500s, he's ahead of the Latvian.
That'll do. In the 20.
He's the closest person to tipping over yet, though, Martin. That was up there.
200s behind teammate Hunter Church, but you're right, that was sketchy. No, there's somebody else who was very sketchy up there as well. Dvorak? Can't remember. Somebody very early on.
You know, we talk about living on the edge. Goes in there. This is Luder's loop here. No, it's 11. Yeah, this is 11, 12. Or 10, 11, 12. No, this is up top. That was Luder's loop. Yeah, that was Luder's loop.
Yep.
Excuse me. Right here. Look at him dive down. Watch the centrifugal force. Back up. Ooh, whoa. You don't know how close he was.
I'm now remembering who else had the sketchy run.
Just
it was
faster.
Hunter Church. They were as sketchy as each other. They were a couple of hundreds apart.
Yeah, a couple of rookies.
Now, next up, Mihai Tentea, 20 years old, with his 20-year-old brakeman Cyprian Darkotsi. Not their first World Championships. He's been to the Olympics, he's done a World Championships, Youth Olympic Games, and Junior Worlds. He only started his first ever World Cup race 2 weeks ago.
.490. He is the youngest athlete in the field.
Well, when he came to the Worlds in Winterberg 2 years ago, John,
17.
Just 17, nearly 18, yeah.
What we saw in Lake Placid, what we saw in Calgary, drives pretty well.
He's got an old head on his young shoulders, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, he's got that coach, Paul Liagu, so he's been around as long as anybody out here.
Great looking lines, and we're going to see Andrea Greco, his teammate, starting the women's competition tomorrow.
She's a young 23-year-old good athlete.
Yeah. This is a nice looking trip. He's losing a little bit of speed.
Look how fast the transitions are. I mean,
yeah.
TV does not do it justice. These people are flying out here.
Well, you can tell from how short the camera shots are. There are no long shots. This, you know, the longest shot is probably a couple of seconds.
There's no straightaways, really,
yeah.
Martin.
No,
you know, it's just, you know, unlike Calgary last week or Lake Placid, there was a couple of straightaways. This track is, you're busy from the time you walk out of the locker room.
Yeah. This is a real racer's track, isn't it? Calgary, you're right about the long straightaways.
Super Speedway, Talladega, Daytona. Well, this is the Daytona and Talladega of bobsledding, and it does catch your eyes. But if you ever get a chance to come out to an event, go to the track. You won't believe how fast they come down on any track, but especially this one. Look at the rudder tips there. He was really carving ice.
A little late on.
Yeah. But again, this is that man against the mountain mystique that I talk about. Hitting before the finish, not really what you want.
Not so good.
But he is young and getting better. Next up, Great Britain's Lamin Dean, 37-year-old Grenadier Guardsman with 31-year-old London-based teacher Toby Alubi. The best dancer on tour, Alubi reckons. See about that.
Toby did one of those reality shows and won it.
7th World Championships as a brakeman and now a driver for Lamin Dean. Double Olympian.
Watch this 6'5", 250-pound guy get in. He runs too far. You see the sled? He ran too far. See if that affects Lamin. Yeah, look at how he got in there late to that curve. And then late into 2 and rough transition. 2800's back. Boy, he's going to have to move. He's another victim of curve 4-5 in training.
20th at the start. He's dropped away to 24th on the splits. Now driving himself back into contention.
Which you would expect with all the experience he's got.
He's had a bit of track time here in Whistler this season as well. He's been racing exclusively in North America this year. But again, the speed is drifting away. 23rd. Those mistakes early on are catching up with him. And at the line, 23rd, 24th, 21st. Brought him back. Found speed at the bottom. 200s behind Jeff Grabois, 400s behind Hunter Church, who are 20th and 19th. There's Lee Johnson, the coach, at the bottom.
Really think that Toby might have run too far there. It's steep. You want to get the energy in the sled. Down below,
Yep.
little tap there.
Little exit late.
Oh, look at the steering there.
It's out of corner 9.
And then it goes into the what they call the shiver for good reason. And this down in the finish. And skidding till you see where that Omega clock is. That's the finish line. And that's uphill. TV doesn't do it justice. The gravity sport going uphill, you can't be hitting walls.
Justin Cripps, Francesco Friedrich, the Olympic champions, top 2. Benny Meyer of Austria, Youth Olympic silver medalist from 2012 in Innsbruck. In Lillehammer rather, with Marcus Sammer behind him.
You remember, Sammer was driving in 2015 Worlds. And, you know, but then the Austrians told him, you're not a very good driver, but you're the best athlete we have. So you're going back behind our best driver, which is Benny Meyer. And
you're also suffering with a badly torn hamstring all season, pretty much.
Well, that's what happens when you marry a skeleton athlete, right? You don't train.
I'm not sure they're entirely related. Oh, big scared. He was healthy coming into the season. The first weekend or second weekend.
See his wife, Elizabeth Meyer, come up from Canada.
12th at the start, but out to 18th place. Those mistakes early on again costing him.
Well, the start will cost him too. 12th best start. Ducks his head at the finish. 17:69, so he just bumps the first person on the bubble. That was Jeff Grabois. Now it's Hunter Church is on the bubble.
Yep. 5th World Championship start for both of these guys. Benny's best in 2-man, 9th in Innsbruck 2016, but they got a team bronze in 2016 in Innsbruck as well.
I think there's, right here, this is that chicane. It's not a straightaway, you can tell, it bends around. Then that throws you into this combination down here of 9, 10, 11. Here's in the finish. Tries to duck his head. Boy, but there's a lot of skidding going on. If you're going to duck your head, you want that sled to come straight.
There's Benny Meyer. 5 World Championships now for him. And next up we have 2 first-timers at World Championship level, both from China. This is 22-year-old Kai Chu Sun with Jianglang Ma, his 23-year-old brakeman. Ma started in November 18. He has started exactly 2 two-man races in his life. And the driver, 2 junior worlds. Best result of 14th now this season.
The Chinese had 2 two-man and 1 four-man in the Olympics last year. Tomorrow we're going to see a Chinese female sled in the field. That'll be a first. Men's and women's skeleton next week. China has arrived.
Yep.
They're coached by Pierre Luters, who coached the Russians in 14, coached the Koreans in 18 for their home Olympics, and now he's moved over to the Chinese. They got a driver coach, some guy named Andre Langa, who won the gold medal on this track in 2010. So the Chinese have really collected a pretty good coaching staff.
Again, they've all started learning to drive here in North America, so they're relatively familiar with the Whistler track.
Oh!
Race start,
Boy,
he's
he almost tipped over there.
And at the line, 27th.
There is our 1998 Olympic Games gold medalist. He tied, another gold medal tie, Gunther Huber of Italy. That was in the Nagano Winter Olympic Games.
Now we did go back and look. If the old rule had applied, the gold went to the fastest single heat. Luders would have been champion.
It happened once before in '68. Eugenio Monti and Horst Floh of Germany tied to the 100th of a second. Monti had the fastest single heat. He won the gold medal. Horst Floh and his brakeman Pepe Batter are still complaining about that.
As you would.
Yeah, well, they changed the rule the next year. Look at the runner tips. You can, Hey, but China, they've arrived. And look how late he is here. Whoa, that would have been a very tough upside down into that finish, 90 miles an hour right there.
So there is Sung Kai-chi. Next up is Xiao Yi-jun, the 24-year-old who started in January 2017. He's had a couple of races on this track. And Yu Wei, his brakeman, started in November of 2017, so end of his second season.
Martin, neither one of these guys are small.
This is Xiao, the man who drove in the Olympics in 4-man.
Look at this, look at the leverage. You can see how tall he is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure looters will figure out how to get him in shape. Start time not great. Skid out of 1.
Yeah,
but they had pretty good velocity. Very good velocity means they got in the sled, which I'm sure looters knows how to get in the sled here in Whistler.
10th fastest velocity off the 27th fastest start.
That's the exit of the curve, Martin. There's a lot of people running too far, making mistakes, getting into the curve.
Behind his, no, just ahead of his teammate Sung Kai-chi at the moment. Up to 26th position, so ahead of Alexander Bredikin of Russia. Now trying to close in on Mihai Tentea of Romania. Once he got out of the final corner, a tap on the wall, but only a little one, 25th at the line.
Pierre is not very happy.
25th position ahead of Mihai Tentea and Alexander Bredikin, and also ahead of Sung Kai-chi. So Xiao Yi-jun and Yu Wei, his brakeman.
You know where they're from in China, Martin?
I don't know.
Come on.
24-year-old driver, 21-year-old brakeman.
Gotta get some.
And John, this is the foothills of the program, really, isn't it?
Watch the start now. Get in, get down,
Now, he
get
does
settled.
get in like a sack of potatoes, though, doesn't
Get
he?
in, get settled before that first curve, because it drops off 7 stories in the next 100 meters. And then here, look at the way the pressure in that curve. You get in there late, and down below here, this is where it's 90 miles an hour. They shiver to the, oh, and here's in the finish curve. Bang.
28 sleds down, 3 to go. First of 4 heats of the 2-man bobsleigh world championships. And this former skier from Italy, the 24-year-old youth Olympic champion from Lillehammer, Patrick Baumgartner.
Boy, look at, you can see the brakeman's shoulders right away, that beautiful blue suit. Of course, the Italians always have the best clothing. Boy, you can see too much of the brakeman. And on this high speed track, aerodynamics is everything.
24-year-old Alex Vergina is the brakeman, a former decathlete.
Start time, boy, come on. They had the 29th best start out of 29 sleds.
Oh, it was 5 flat, apparently. So Baumgartner in his second Worlds.
Way back.
Haven't seen much of him in the World Cup either.
They should look at some video here, but there's just shoulders. You shouldn't see anything of the brakeman. You shouldn't see anything. There's Manuel Mahata, former world champion. He was coaching the Chinese last year. He's now coaching the Italians. Man, you got to get that brakeman down on that sled, especially on this track.
So are the 2 coaches.
Tell there's no happiness there.
Well, they got down, but you can see all of the brakemen and barely any of the driver from behind.
Look how much you can see the brake and the aerodynamics.
Big steer there as well, got a little late
That's
onto
like a
the
parachute.
corner.
I mean, there's no reason for those guys to be 29th. I'm telling you right now, it's because that brakeman's shoulders are sticking up.
Well, next up, we have a real first in the World Championships. A bobsleigh driver who has qualified and raced and taken medals in para-bobsledding. Israel's Dave Nichols, 55 years old, started in the 2015-16 season.
Oh, he started, he was driving bobsleds back in 2005, 2006 in Park City. You can see all the damage on the sled. Dave crashed it, told us a great story that he needed to get it fixed. He crashed the sled. He rented the sled from the New Zealand team up here.
Brakeman Ilya Manikin doing all the hard work.
They couldn't get anybody to fix the sled. He crashed it last Sunday. He said he was going every place. Finally called this body shop down in Israel or in Vancouver, and they said, "Are you Dave Nichols, the bobsledder?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, how do you know that? He goes, I read about it in the Israeli papers. I'm Israeli.
All right, nice.
So that's how he got the sled fixed.
Well, he's made it down safely every trip in training. And at the moment, just adding to his knowledge base. He raced in the North America's Cup as well in the first part of the season before the Paris season got underway.
I'm sure he qualified under the African nation. He's the only representative there, so there's one slot. He usually saw the opportunity. He had to go out through the 5.32 in the World Cups, which he did. There he is.
And Ilya Malikin, his brakeman, has only had one bobsleigh race, and that was in North America's Cup race in Calgary in January.
I asked him what sport he comes from. He says, kickboxing, I do a little judo.
54.83 for Dave Nichols. Showing that nothing keeps a good man down.
Watch out. Somebody better catch that. Well, you think that's flat there. It's not.
No,
that's pretty steep. Surprised somebody's not there catching him because...
Well, they normally have a couple of guys down at the bottom. Let's take a look at the line.
Again, I saw him driving bobsleds 2005-06. Gets in. Look how high up he is. Head's way above the cowling. But again, this is a rental sled.
He gets knocked around a little as the
he does.
Transitions from corner to corner. All right, good first trip for Dave Nichols of Israel. Our first ever para-competitor in the World Bobsleigh Championships. And the final sled in the first of our 4 heats from Croatia, Drazen Silic and Alexander Krasjenic, who's also competed with Serbia in bobsleigh, his fourth worlds for Drazen Silic as a driver. He did 2 braking for Ivan Sola as well. As you'll see, they too are in a rented sled, so this is Australia.
I'm a school teacher by trade.
Little skid. Again, he made it safely down in all the trips in the race. Let's hope that's not a jinx for him.
So is... Ooh, watch out! There's an watch out here too. Whoa.
4 to 5, late off 5. Well, if that doesn't get the spidey senses tingling, nothing will early in the first run.
How did he get away with that?
To 9 and 10, the double left-hander at links.
Watch out, little Robin Hood there, and he gets through that 12. And Martin, we've gone through the full run. Whoa. I was going to say, well, I won't say anything
don't
yet.
say it now until he's safely over the line. He is over the line.
There were no crashes in the first run. The track is very tame to what we saw when we first came here on Tuesday. I think that's a testament to the IBSF being able to make the track at these speeds.
Yeah.
The entrance and take-ons and the outlets and the curves, they shaved them down and groomed them down so that the athletes can have this safe type of competition on this unbelievable fast track. Look at this. That's up near the wood.
Big and high.
And then look at the airborne.
Yeah.
That was real late there. He gets away with
well,
that.
he was so late off 4, he barely even got to 5.
He almost missed it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Robin Hooded it off 5, that's for sure.
Robin Hood refers to, just think of Robin Hood shooting an arrow.
Yeah.
That's how much they have to steer.
Yeah.
You don't want to be Robin Hood at any point. Well, they say you have to Robin Hood down 11, 12.
Yeah. Well, there's Drazen Silic.
My brakeman didn't like it.
Hey, everyone's a critic. All right. What a race we've already got on our hands. Never mind the dramas and the slightly iffy lines. We have 2 Olympic 2-man champions separated by 0.07 of a second. Francesco Friedrich, unbeaten since December 2017, is behind Justin Cripps, the man who tied him for Olympic gold just over 12 months ago.
Pretty exciting way to start, Martin.
No kidding. Look at that. 2/10 back, Nico Walter in 3rd. 2600s back, Kiva Manners, 2800s back, Brad Hall, Yun Jung Won, Chris Spring, Hansi Lochner, all very tight together. But then we get a 3-way tie for 9th place. Nick Polonyato of Canada, Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco, Andrianov of Russia. Then Mikkel Vogt, the rookie, Dvorak, the rookie, Treichel, Bascu, and so on down. All 31 sleds who complete the course will go in the second heat this evening, and if they all make it safely down again, in the third heat tomorrow evening, before we
lowered
cut our
the
field
track record by
20th.
3/10, Martin.
Wow.
They're below 51 seconds. It's 50.96. I'm trying to find what the Olympic time was. We don't have it on the wall in front of us. We'll get that between runs.
We will do that. First heat down and done here, and the second comes up in just over half an hour's time. Join us for that. We get back on the fastest ice on the planet here in Whistler in Canada.